This is the men's room.
Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville. The Drippers, the Grasshoppers, the Hit Ones, all gathered in secrecy and flying high as a kite.
You're listening to the men's room with Miles and Thrill.
Who Attack 2, and with what? We go back to South America and a raging bar fight. So you and the two Mitchell brothers are behind the bar, and now you are taking on the entire bar.
Pretty much. Anything that ain't bolted down, we are hurling, throwing, beating people with, just whatever's within reach. There's about 15 or 20 guys in the bar, and we're just knocking people back as best we can. Police show up, and by that time, I've got a whiskey bottle in one hand, and I ripped a taxidermy deer head off the wall, and had that in the other hand. I'm waving it in people's faces, trying to get them back. I don't know if you've ever hit anybody with an empty Jack Daniels bottle, but there's a very distinct punt sound that it makes when you clock somebody upside the head with it. So the cop ended up, the two cops ended up arresting us, of course, because we don't speak any Spanish, and all the locals do. And it ended up costing us roughly $2,500 to get our buddy out. Otherwise, they said they were going to take him downtown with a bunch of the locals, and he wouldn't see the sunrise.
See, that's why you got arrested, because Americans have money. I mean, like that's almost standard operating procedure, right, man. But you actually tore the taxidermy deer head. Because you have to understand, from our point of view, it's a South American bar fight, which already sounds great. And at the end of it, you got a bottle of Jack Daniels in one hand and a taxidermy deer head in the other, ready to do battle.
How many of the locals did you take care of?
There was probably about 15 guys in the bar that were actually coming after us. Everybody else that wasn't involved decided to clear out.
How many people had major injuries?
I have no idea.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just looking around. Like, you got 15 people. Did you knock 3 of them out? Now there's only 12?
But I like their phone.
There was only 2 guys that I know of actually got knocked out, because by the time the cops got there and got to us, there was 2 guys that were lying on the deck. But as far as whatever injuries were sustained by the rest of them,
no idea.
I wasn't really hanging out. I was just going from one guy to the next.
That's why I said, like you said, there was a distinct sound when an empty Jack Daniels bottle hit somebody in the head. And I thought, well, that guy's got to be out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially if you clocked him in the head and you heard that sound.
Well, let me ask you this. As you went to the experience of beating people with anything you could grab, does it sound different in a Jack Daniels bottle than, say, I grabbed a Jägermeister bottle?
Sure, it's a square bottle.
And then crack someone over the head, would you be like, it's a bottle of Jaeger right there. No doubt about it.
Anything else that I was probably either flinging or broke. So the Jack Daniels bottle seems to be the only thing that hung up. In other words, if you're ever in a bar fight, the Jack Daniels bottle will last you.
What were you kind of hesitant about going to more bars when you were deployed after that, or just keep your head on a swivel, or what?
We were a little more careful about who we talked to locally. But as far as my buddy Mitchell, he didn't leave the ship for the rest of the cruise. He stayed on board and saved money, because we actually ended up having to go. They detained him, but they were basically going to let us go and told us that we had to get $2,500. I don't remember what the exchange rate is, but it came to about $2,500. We just went bar to bar, tracking down other shipmates and stuff, saying, hey, a guy's in trouble, money's the answer, can you help us out? And it took us about, between what we pulled out of the ATM and just going bar to bar, talking to other guys on the ship, it took us about 45 minutes to get $2,500 together. And he just spent the rest of the cruise saving money on the ship, paying back anybody and everybody he could find out,
That's
how
decent,
much
man.
And who they were.
Okay.
And by the way, was that White Mitchell or Black Mitchell?
Actually, that was the Black Mitchell that got in trouble. He was the only one that spoke Spanish.
A brother finally picks up a second language and they still throw his ass in jail. I've had it.
Who attacked
God
you?
damn it.
And with 1-844-999-OLA.
Brother tries to be bilingual and still finds his ass in jail.
That's kind of funny.
Damn, man. Just can't win. Hello, Rob. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Hola.
So, this is probably 25, 27 years ago. I was like 13 or 14. And I was mouthing off to my mom, and she kind of chased me into my bedroom. And I ended up calling her probably a couple of not so nice names. And instead of, in those days is when we used to have, she had wooden spoons where she would, whoop your butt with them.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Well, apparently they were all dirty or something like that. So she ended up picking up one of my shoes. And I actually at that time, I had a size 15 shoe.
Well,
Damn.
What, now
At
you're a
that time.
Now you're a 13? What happened? Are you like a 17 now?
Well, no, I'm actually still a 15 shoe. But
Dude, I was just in the Nordstrom rack the other day. You have your own section in there. It's crazy to look at and to pick up these shoes. I don't know what your crank looks like, but if it's anything close to the size of that damn shoe, man, I mean, that can't be easy to pull off.
My wife's happy.
Yeah, I figured so.
My shoes, though. But
she's probably my husband's the ugliest man in the world.
Pick up one of those shoes next time you go to a place that has size 15. Just look at them. I picked up a pair of Air Jordans, man. I mean, you're like, oh my God. If someone walked with that along a lake and left tracks, people would think the Bigfoot was there and played basketball.
Yeah, my buddy wears 14s. We picked up shoes at the same time, and I told the girl, like, the 14s are for me. And she was like, what? I was like, obviously not.
It's a joke.
Yeah. But yeah, so she proceeded to take the shoe and smack me across the face with it. So it was kind of like, and here we were sitting here arguing, and it was just kind of like, what the hell are you doing? And it ended up being a joke after that. We actually kind of joke about it even now.
Well, she didn't have to reach as far if you were a size 15.
How big is your dad?
Actually, I'm probably one of the bigger guys in my family. My dad's probably only like 5'10".
How big are you?
6'3".
You're 6'3", but you have size 15. I mean, what are you, like a Doberman puppy?
Apparently.
Do you trip over everything?
Not really. No, I'm pretty stable. I got my big toe is actually pretty darn big too. So if you looked at my feet, it's kind of funny looking.
All right. And do you order your clothes and your shoes, or do you just go someplace and hope to God they have that one pair available?
Well, I grew up in Wenatchee, so when I was a kid, we used to have to special order my shoes. I live over here in Seattle now, but I don't get to go into a store and say, I want that shoe in a 15. I pretty much walk in and say, what do you have in 15s? And they'll bring out, 5 or 6 pairs of shoes or whatever they have.
I don't know how you do it, because I'm only size 13, and size 13 was not standard everywhere until about 15 years ago, and I used to do the same thing, which is, what do you have in size 13? And on average, they come out with 2 boxes. And the amazing thing was, and I don't know if this happens to you being in the 15-inch world there, but whatever shoes they bring out of the back that they have in your size, none of those pairs of shoes that are in your size are any of the shoes that they have on display.
No,
you follow me? So, the shoes they have in your size, they assume there's something wrong with you, and people will forgive you for wearing these. You know what I mean? I'm like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. You know what I'm saying?
And like in the Converse All-Stars.
They're the orthopedic shoes.
Right, exactly. There's nothing wrong with me.
Or they're the Converse, and they're real long and real skinny.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like if your foot's wide, there's no way you can get the hell in there.
And they're the weirdest boxes, man.
Yeah. Who attacked who?
It's like
and
a coffin.
844-999-OLA.
Seriously, you look at the size 15, just pull the lid off of it, and I swear to God, you're going to think like you're grave robbing.
Keep it when your dog passes.
Just put them in the box, take them to the vet.
There's always plenty of 10s.
Yeah, I know. Hello, Josh. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Hey, I was living in New Zealand for about 14 years, and it turns out my buddy met this bird, and he was all hot on her, and it was like his second date with her, and she wanted to take him to a little house party, and so I was talking to him about it, encouraging him, telling him what to do, because he's kind of a nervous guy, he wasn't the most well-versed, and he goes to the party with her, and he ends up calling me about an hour later, and he sounds all weird and nervous, and he says, oh, you need to come over. And I said, well, I don't know anybody, etc. I was like, do you know anybody? And he goes, well, no, I don't really know anybody here but this girl, but she's got a friend. So I was like, okay. So I hop in the car and
no problem. Let my penis do the talking and the walking.
Yeah, I was like a black smoke outline. I was gone real fast. And so I get there, and immediately I just kind of, my heart sinks, because it's a gang house. And the girl he was hitting on, she was nice and all that, but her friend was smoking hot. And so I start kind of being a wingman, but trying my own on. And And the whole time, I kind of see these two guys eyeballing me, and because I'm not the nicest looking guy. You know, I'm a little bit big, shaved head, tattoos everywhere, and these guys are dark skinned and gang members. And but these two guys are staring at me. One guy's on his phone, and I start getting a bit nervous. So I go out and I have a smoke, and my mate comes out with his girl, and this other girl comes out. So us four are out in the backyard. It's kind of a Scody backyard. It's real dingy, dark, whatever. And me and this girl are hitting it off, and she decides to lean in, go for it a bit. So I'm like, all right. And then I see two guys come out. There's a pool table there. So, of course, one guy comes out with a pool stick. The other guy comes out with I don't know what you call it, that stick they use if it's a long shot.
The bridge. Yeah, the bridge.
Yeah. So the other guy comes out with that. And apparently the guy with the bridge, that's the girl that he was seeing. And he steps on the bridge for some reason to break off that metal end, which he probably shouldn't have. Probably would have hurt a lot worse if he didn't. So he breaks off the end, and he comes at me and he swings. But what they didn't realize is I'm a black belt in the Eskrima, which is like a Filipino stick fighting.
All
right.
Oh, man, this is when this comes in really handy.
It's the only time it's coming in.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
How quickly did you make work of him?
Well, he swung at my head, and I blocked it. I broke the stick in half, so I had one, and he had one. So I took the other one away from him in about 20 seconds. And the other guy comes at me with his pool stick, so I dispatch him real quick. So my buddy, who's also a black belt in Eskrima, he picks up the pool stick. It was a screw type, so he unscrews it, so now he has two, and I have two.
Did you fight your way out of this party?
Well, there was about 40 of them in the house, so what we did was we moved towards the door, so only like two of them could come out at a time. We dispatched probably about 20 of them before we hear sirens and everything else.
You're saying dispatches mean you kick 20 people's ass?
Yeah.
Yeah, but see, he's a black belt.
Too bad no one had a video. That's where you whip out your phone.
That's the one time.
That's what I want to see, that.
You took the time to train in that. How deep down you were happy that this S went down.
That's awesome.
Goddamn.
Who Attack 2 and with 1-844-999. Ola, we've got more of your calls on the way and your emails from the men's room at mensroomlive.com. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Hola, bitches. You're listening to the Men's Room.
Yeah. All right. Nice work.
Get in.
Who Attack 2 and with what? And here come those emails from the men's room at mensroomlive.com.
You've got mail. You've got mail.
Guys, when I was younger and dumber, I had a buddy who was a drug dealer. He was a good enough guy when you were his friend, but if you crossed him, be prepared. Man used brass knuckles on a kid who ratted him out at school for selling weed. And in another instance was a couple who had stole some drug money from him. He found him in the parking lot of a gas station, and they rolled up their window as he approached, pulling out a canister of bear mace. They neglected to close the sunroof. He reached in and completely covered the inside of the car. A couple had second-degree burns on their eyes, and they didn't say a word about it. Glad to be out of that lifestyle. That from the FedEx guy. A few years back, I was traveling with my trucker husband around the country. We stopped for a night and were getting things to get a quick shower. As I was outside getting our bag together, something hits me hard in the back. Now I'm only 5'5" and about 110 pounds on a good day, and the hit was strong enough to knock me to the ground. I turn around thinking my husband was playing a stupid prank and instead meet some random guy towering over me with a fist in my face. Moron worked for the same company and thought I broke into his truck and was stealing his things. So he threw a full bottle of milk at me. We ended up yelling at each other until my husband came around and I told him what happened. In the end, the idiot gets arrested for assault and I go to the hospital because he hit me in the lower back and kidney and I landed on my keys, bending a metal keychain with my ribs. Days later, and many pain pills in, I was very sore. At least my husband got off easy. He only had a Subway sandwich thrown at him. Thanks for all the awesome entertainment, bitches. You guys keep my day sane. That from Anastasia. Any comments today worth a damn?
One comment that really stuck out was a guy who confessed that all day I thought you guys said who tattooed you, not who attacked you, and they could not understand why everyone was telling these stories of assault.
Who tattooed you?
Yeah. Like all day I've been thinking that.
All right, let's get on with the birthday request. Guys, my name is Andrew. It's my birthday today. Is there any way that you guys can play me your penis is too small, please? Ladies and gentlemen, today is my little brother's Kyle's 21st birthday.
You gotta get it out, Miles.
Lord help us all. He's a chef in Portland listening on KGON, so could you please give him a Sarah Palin, as well as German Thrill and Ozzy Ted giving him some sexy food talk. Thanks, guys. Ad from Alec.
So, suck it up, cupcake!
Yeah, I do not know why you find food so sexy. Tonight you'll simply eat skin berries and cream.
Yeah, Ted here from Melbourne. Talking sexy, talking food. Picture me covered. Mayonnaise and Vegemite. Happy birthday to you.
Some guys would like to give a birthday shout out to my coworker Brandon. He's a real jerk, always leaving his garbage in my car while we carpool. He's also a huge cheapskate. But he seems to be a pretty good husband and father, so there's that, I guess. Can I get Ted and Thrill to speak dirty German to him and tell him to suck it? Thanks, guys. That from Ryan.
Yeah, I do not say suck it as an insult. I simply open my pants and say suck it as an invitation.
Yeah, it'll be squishy and weird, but suck it.
You suck all on.
Squishy and weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's German.
Squishy.
Want to wish my son Alex a happy 28th birthday. Pretty proud of the man he has become. Can he get a little kid fish sandwich and any old random sound effect that you think would be appropriate or not? Rock on that from HB.
Fish salad!
Holy Jay!
Guys, I want to wish my fiance Dustin a happy 28th birthday. He listens to you guys every day. I know he would love to hear a symphony of turtle sex. Thanks so much. You guys are awesome. That from Courtney. Bitches, today is my husband Darby's 29th. I was hoping you all could help us celebrate by giving us a time to take off the leash. And since we currently reside in Germany, providing some dirty German talk. Thanks, love the show. That from Sean.
It's time to take off the leash.
Yeah, I'll be complete gentleman. I kiss you on the lips, I kiss you on the cheeks, and then maybe I'll kiss you on the face.
Yeah, and if you live in Germany, you already know this, but come over. You can play with my Dusseldorf.
Guys, can I get a birthday shout out whether you like that and your penis is too small? Thanks, guys, from Sean.
You like that? You like that?
Your penis is too small! Your penis is too small!
Never gets old, does it?
Actually, no.
Please give a big birthday shout out to my fellow Moose members, Melanie, David, and Tim. Yes, they're all born on the same day, different years, and are all members of the Moose Lodge in Mount Vernon. Come visit sometime. Love the show. That from the governor. Could you guys all talk over each other? Okay, sure. So
that's something I think that we should
go
do,
his
man.
house,
But
he's got this
into a moose lodge once,
and he pulls out the hamster from the habit trail, and the hamster is spinning around the
Never
wheel.
heard a monkey scream
He
like
grabs
that
him and he says,
in my
"Don't
life.
worry, it's not going to hurt.
It's
It's the smallest
like
hamster I
a
have."
little
I said,
fecal
"I'm not sure
matter.
what you're going to do with that.
It'll rub
I'm not thinking I'm
right
really
off.
into it."
I don't know how the moose work.
Anyway, the safety word was hamster. Today is my cousin's birthday. His name is Dennis. He's a great guy with a heart of gold and a pocket full of lead, and very religious. If you guys could play any sounds, that would be great. So we grew up in the same house. He's like a brother to me. Sincerely, that from Chris from St. George, Utah. Could we get the dirty Germans talking about religion, please?
Yeah, it's very easy. One night with me, I promise you'll be screaming for your God.
Yeah, and if you lay with me, I promise you one thing. I'm going to fill you with the Holy Spirit.
I would like to wish myself a happy 32nd birthday. Tonight I plan on getting drunk, eating mac and cheese, and making sweet love to my hand. Can I get a please? I told him he was a dinosaur with Thrill's evil laugh and a joy chestnut. Thanks a million. Love, Gary with boobs.
A dinosaur for your birthday. He's a dinosaur.
From Gary with boobs.
Where's my hairless kitty?
Since my husband is not tech savvy, I'll request a birthday song for myself today. It's my 38th and would like to hear an uh-oh, look out, and an owl hitting the window. Thanks, guys. You rock. That from Shelley.
Uh-oh, look out.
Michola's my amazingly gifted wife is celebrating her 35th plus birthday. Her name is Alina, a.k.a. Mrs. Alina, and she operates her piano studio of 40 students, ranging in ages from 5 until 18. She's an amazing wife of 17 years and a mother of our 2 boys, Aiden and Matthew. May Alina, who loves fish, have a barbershop fish sandwich, and Steve and Ted giving her pointers on teaching pieces written by the great German legends Bach and Mozart. Thanks, you guys. Your birthday wishes for my family were heard by relatives on 3 different continents. That from Russian-speaking Ukrainian Misha.
Is it too early for a fish sandwich? Cheese and tartar on the side.
Ooh, yeah.
I smell the fish sandwich, maybe some dill relish in the morning, at noon, and at night, and at night.
Yeah, I do not know much about Mozart, but tonight we will do it in the Bach door.
Yeah, they'll go. Bach, Mozart, both great musicians. Both can play the piano, and luckily for you, you can tickle my ivory. But don't forget the black keys.
Yeah.
I have your wife screaming Amadeus.
Rock me, Amadeus.
Yeah.
Back in June, we had you wish our mother a happy birthday. I believe Thrill said he wanted to play with the little man. Oh, yeah. And Ted wanted to show her his sugar glider. So we thought we could embarrass our old man as well. Could you please wish our dad a happy birthday with some German talk and some Aussie Ted, please? Thanks, guys. That from Zach, Alex, and Kyle.
Yeah, do not be ashamed of your wrinkly penis. I will treat it like bacon.
Yeah, Ted here from Melbourne. Heard I had your wife playing with the sugar glider. Good news for you. You can come over and play with a wombat.
Wife Karen celebrating her 52nd trip around the sun. Could you get a little turtle sex followed by a Leroy Jenkins? Thanks, guys. That from Ted Smith. Not the Ted Smith.
Great name.
Let's do this. Leroy Jenkins!
All right, guys, here you go. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you, bitches.
Y'all's the Dirty Germans, brought to you by Men's Room Original Sausage. Available through Uli's world famous sausage, mensroomlive.com, and other fine retailers. Schweinefleisch.
Okay, a couple extras here. Subject, wrestling boobs. Like Ted, I too saw my first pair of boobs at a wrestling event. It was WrestleMania, oh God.
19.
The Flashers were thirsty for eyes that day. That from Dave.
You're great with the Roman numerals.
I am not being...
Oh, God.
Did you know that was 19? Could you look at that and go, that's 19?
Zix.
Oh, yeah, dude, that's 19.
All right, sorry. Okay.
Well, just remember, man, X is 10, and then there's a 1 in front of the other X. You got to subtract 1.
Bam!
Yeah, this is a crazy one here. I heard you guys talking about the incident. I had to tell you about mine. Took my wife to a concert a while back on our 25th anniversary. It had been planned for a while, and we were both looking forward to it. It was out of town, so we were able to get away in more ways than one. We had the best seats in the place, having a wonderful time. Just before the headline act was due to come out, I wasn't feeling so well, and my wife, who had waited the whole time to see it, was concerned how I was feeling and just suggested that we go. I said no, but she, being more stubborn than me, talked me into leaving after a couple songs. As we were leaving, I took a picture of her in front of a banner that showed her as having wings of an angel. Picture was taken just before 10 p.m. on October 1st in Las Vegas. The gunfire started before we could cross the street, heading back to our hotel, the Mandalay Bay. I am the luckiest man around, and am married to an angel.
Damn.
That from Jerry. Let's see here, guys. After hearing Thrill tell a quick story, let me start this again. Listening to your show almost every day has spawned some pretty weird Google searches here at the home office. Today is the best, though. After hearing Thrill tell a quick story, I Googled porn magazine duct tape armor. 3 results came up immediately. They were all local television stations posting coverage of that incident. Before this afternoon, if I had put that into Google, I'm sure the FBI would have been here shortly.
There's no doubt about it.
Thanks, guys. Rock on. That from Fish Rock. All right, still to come on the program, we've got an ambulance update with the return of what you don't need to know. But first...
Now, the men's room wants to know... Who sucks less?
Yay! Time once again for Who Sucks Less. Steve the Thrill Hill, you bring us each week 3 stories from the newspaper. And it is It is up to us to determine which of these three stories suck the least. Now, if you like the men's room there on our Facebook page, the debate already underway in Who Sucks Less.
Yeah, and today, as we do every week, we have three contestants vying to be the person who sucks the least. Today, we have an author and magazine contributor, a little bit up there in years, but he's been around the block a few times. They'll be competing with televangelist Pat Robertson, who always finds a way to bring himself into the news. And finally, they will be competing against a Kenyan doctor. This particular doctor happens to be in charge of broadcast censorship in the fine country of Kenya. All right. So let's start with the author and magazine contributor, a guy by the name of Gay Talese. Now, apparently this guy's well known in that world, but Kevin Spacey finally has someone sticking up for him in public. That would be from the thoughts expressed by 85-year-old author Gay Talese. They're not going over very well. He says, quote, Jesus, just suck it up every once in a while. The topic came up when Talese, famous for his magazine profiles, he was asked who he'd like to write about these days. Well, Kevin Spacey came up and he responded, quote, I feel so sad, and I hate that actor that ruined this guy's career. He was referring to actor Anthony Rapp, who's the guy who broke the scandal by opening up about how Spacey tried to have sexual encounter with him when Rapp was 14 years old. Just keep that in mind. So anyway, Kevin Spacey's defender here says, quote, okay, it happened 10 years ago. But he continues, I'd like to ask Kevin how he feels to lose a lifetime of success and hard work, all because of 10 minutes of indiscretion 10 years or more ago. Then came the odd comparison to the Dalai Lama, because he wasn't done talking yet. He says, you know something? All of us in this room at one time or another did something we're ashamed of. The Dalai Lama has done something he's ashamed of. The Dalai Lama should confess. Put that in your magazine. Well, anyway, his comments not going over so well, as you would imagine, on the World Wide Web. But we continue. Let's go to televangelist Pat Robertson, who somehow, after all these years, is still on TV. On a recent episode of the 700 Club, a woman wrote in to ask Pat Robertson why God allowed her 15-year-old son to die. Robertson, for some reason, decided to give her a very specific answer, saying God may have let your son die to prevent him from becoming an alcoholic or atheist later in life. That's what Pat Robertson said. He said, quote, these things happen. We live in a world of wickedness, and God does not necessarily spare us from these wicked things. He'll teach us once we're in a difficult situation. He'll help us overcome it, but not necessarily really spare everybody from it. You'll say, why does my father allow this to happen? The loss of a child is a terrible grief. But, the thing about that child at 15, maybe he was, living for the Lord at 15. I don't know anything about him. I'm presuming he was. So what would have happened, though, maybe 10 years from now? Would he have started drinking? Would he have gone away from the Lord? What would have happened? So God, who sees end in the beginning, he knows what would happen to that child. And because he loves that child and loves him so much, he wanted to spare him before he went down the road to do bad things. I'm sure that brought that woman comfort. Brings me comfort. I hope that's what the church preaches to everyone. But we continue. Now we go to Kenya, where people have apparently lost their mind. Images of a romantic encounter between two male lions in Kenya's Masai Mara Park has upset the country's moral police, who've blamed gay men visiting the national park for, quote, influencing the animals' behavior. All right, so they have these cameras out there, whatever, and they're motion activated. And when they watch this video, there's two male lions getting it on. So Dr. Ezekiel Mutua, he's responsible for TV and film censorship in Kenya. He's called for the two lions in question to be caught and kept in isolation until scientists can determine how they acquired homosexual behavior, despite the fact that homosexuality among lions has been observed for decades. But Dr. Mutua, he's convinced that the lions would either have spotted gay men having sex in front of them or being possessed by demons. It's one of those two things, according to this guy. Now, in his quest to find an alternative explanation for what's a well-documented natural occurrence, Dr. Mutua also called for an investigation into whether the two lions, despite their grand manes, were really male. In fact, he says, quote, these animals need counseling. Again, we're talking about lions. These animals need counseling. Probably they've been influenced by gays.
They need to go to gay camp.
Who've gone to the national parks and behaved badly. He kind of goes on from there, but the general message doesn't change. So again, we have the author, one Gay Talese, coming to the defense of Kevin Spacey, saying, look, maybe he did try to have sex with a 14-year-old, but it was years ago. Don't hold him accountable. They'll be taking on Pat Robertson, who, look, the woman asked his opinion of why God allowed her 15-year-old child to die. And he says, well, prevent him from being an atheist or alcoholic later in life. And finally, they're taking on Dr. Mutua from Kenya, who, after seeing 2 male lions getting it on, is now blaming the gay community for obviously visiting the park and having sex in front of the lions. Because one thing we do know about lions is that if you have sex in front of them in the wild, they won't attack you.
I think in this instance, gay Talise sucks the most, simply because he is dismissing anyone who's ever been sexually abused based on a time frame and how long the episode took. All right, so I think that he's the worst out of this. The woman who wrote into Pat Robertson, she knows exactly who she wrote into.
Does she, though?
I believe she does now.
If you write into Pat Robertson, I don't think that I think if you write Pat Robertson legitimately believing he's going to give you some kind of response to a legitimate concern, I believe there's something wrong with you from the outset.
Right. But they're placing blame. The Kenyan government, they're placing blame. But to say that if you are sexually assaulted, doesn't matter the time, doesn't matter the length of the time, I'm going to say Pat Robertson, based on his followers anyway, who saw his broadcast, probably agree with Pat. That sucks the least.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree. The guy talking about Kevin Spacey sucks the most. But then, you know what? I'll say the national park in Africa sucks the least.
You agree with him, don't you? Gay men having sex in front of lions. Next thing you know, because lions do what people do.
I was just going to say, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It is, absolutely.
Right? So
he's serious, dude. His quotes don't end. I mean, I stopped it short. This guy, he never really changes his line of thinking, but he's serious.
Line of thinking.
Yeah, his line of thinking.
I mean, Pat Robinson, that comment is insane. I can't say he sucks the least because he said that to a parent who lost a child. I just think the thing in Africa is so ridiculous that it sucks the least.
If you like the Men's Room on Facebook, the debate continues there in Who Sucks Less. All right, still to come, we're going to drink and toast. Shot of the day is on the way, and an ambulance update with the return of what you don't need to know. That's coming up next. You are listening to the Men's Room Radio Network.
Welcome back to the Men's Room with Miles and Thrill.
All right, coming up, we'll drink and toast. The shot of the day is on the way, but first,
we're full of useless information, and you have far too many brain cells not to let us kill a few. So lend an ear while the Men's Room shares what you don't need to know.
All right, we're going to settle this once and for all. Thanks to researchers at Johns Hopkins University. We always debate. If someone needs to get to the hospital, is it better to drive them yourself or wait for an ambulance? One thing that we know to be universally true, if someone is in labor, an ambulance, for the most part, is never called. It is your responsibility to figure out a way to get to the hospital. And that's one of those extreme things where it's just like, oh, man.
Yeah, it's extreme.
It is hitting it now, and this is kind of a big deal. But
yeah, it's like, how bad is your deal, man?
So,
you know what I mean? Like, if you're having a heart attack, I'm thinking, look, man, I'm not trying to be insensitive. Let's get in the car, pop a Bear aspirin.
Okay, well, here we go.
Unfortunately, I don't have Bear aspirin.
I'm going to give you the scenario. You tell me if, according to Hopkins, you should ride in an ambulance or drive in a car. All right, someone has a heart attack.
I think you would drive them.
I'm thinking that's when you call the ambulance.
Okay. If someone is having a heart attack, then waiting for an ambulance is probably the best thing to do.
Ooh.
Because you can give them CPR while you wait, and they'll get CPR on the way to the hospital instead of not in the car.
Oop, you died with me. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
Okay, let's see here. All right, let's say you're shot.
Where at? What
that?
part of the body?
Anywhere. You're shot.
Again, I'm driving.
Yeah, car.
The researchers at Hopkins found that gunshot victims are 55% more likely to survive if someone drives them to the hospital instead of waiting for an ambulance.
But this is in Baltimore, so chances are you'd have to wait for the bus.
That's it. Okay, all right. What if you have a neck injury?
Well, I'd have to say ambulance.
I would say
hard
ambulance,
to drive.
right.
It also makes sense with something like a neck injury to take an ambulance because you don't want them to move around. Keep them still if you can. Wait for paramedics so you don't make things worse and they can put the person on a gurney. So for safe transport,
depends
any
on
kind
much
of
I
neck
like them.
injury, yeah, you got to do that. What if you're stabbed?
Stabbed? Drive to the hospital, man.
Yeah, drive in there.
Stabbing victims are 68 more likely to survive if they're taken by car. And they think that's because EMTs can't do much to treat penetrating injuries like a shooting or like a stabbing.
Okay.
You just need to get to the hospital as quickly as possible, and you'll usually get there faster if someone drives you. Now, obviously, most of us will never have to deal with that kind of injury, but the same thing could also apply to any sort of accident where there's a penetrating injury.
Okay.
So if you were to be hung up on a fence or something, anything goes in you, drive there as fast as you can. All right, have we made it to drinking time?
Somebody out there deserves to be recognized. And And the men's room knows just who it is. So to you, we say, bottoms up, sailor. You're the toast of our shot of the day.
Drinking time it is, and as usual, we head to the drink desk and Stephen Throwhill to find out who we're toasting.
Yes, indeed. Today we toast 24-year-old Sean Sykes Jr. of Kansas City, Missouri. Now, Sean is charged with possession with intent to sell cocaine and being a felon in possession of 3 firearms, 2 of which were stolen. Now, the charges, they stem from a traffic stop where cops searched his car. They found the drugs and the weapons. Well, naturally, Sean while he was being questioned, he denied knowing anything about any of this stuff that they found on him. When police asked for his address, however, Sean responded by lifting his butt cheek and, per the police report, quote, released a loud fart. They asked him for his address. He lifted his leg. The report continues, quote, Mr. Sykes continued to be flatulent, and the officer ended the interview. Charges were not filed at the time.
Oh, wow, he farted his way out of it.
He farted his way out. They're going to charge him eventually. But the cop that was in there going through the stuff, once he cut loose, he kept farting so much, and it was so bad that the cop interrogating him was like, look, I got to come back to this, man. I can't,
wow.
I've never heard of that.
He lost the scent on the trail.
Thought that case bottomed out.
Whatever works. All right, bitches, let's drink. We pour this booze and we drink this booze because we think it's yummy.
Yummy!
So over the tongue and down the throat to party in our tummies. Down the hola, bichola!
Let's get a contestant on the line for Profile This. We'll take caller 9-844-999-OLA.
Hola! The shenanigans continue on the Men's Room Radio Network.